Find the queen. Okay, so the bees were naturally trying to go towards this box because it had drawn out comb on it from a previous hive. And so you can see them just starting to march over to it. So here I put the frame down on the ground and sped it up so you can see the march of the bees as they're all going onto this comb. And that was really helpful. I was still looking for the queen. Unfortunately, I couldn't find her. These bees were on somebody's stairs, and so he carefully moved them onto the grass. But, you know, queens don't fly very well. She easily could have gotten lost or damaged, so I was expecting kind of not to have a queen. And this was really cool. The bees just continued to go exactly where I wanted them to. I carefully sifted them off of the grass and got them onto this frame. And then as you can see here in a second, I'll take that frame and I'll put it in the box. And then I closed up that box, taped it up, and put it in the back of my truck because I got most of the bees because they all went inside that box with those frames on it. So you can see here I'm picking it up. Then the bees started to gather back. So, you know, the pheromones from the queen, she could have been there. I mean, I might have gotten her. I just don't know. I couldn't find her, right? So I went back. I tried to scoop them up, but it was the scent of that one spot. So I just put that frame there and I left it there for a little bit. And you can see in the next clip. I covered the area where the pheromones were, where they were gathering. So they just all went on this frame. This was super easy. And then I just put that frame in the back of my truck inside this the hive box, and I closed everything up. My truck has a cover on it. This is when I brought them home. I'd already gotten the frames out, so a lot of the bees went inside the box already. That top, as you can see, was not super secure, so they thought they had to get in at the top. This is kind of like a makeshift box that I put together here. So I had to improvise. So the bottom board was something that I built. A piece of plywood with some trim around it. So I turned the cardboard around because most of the bees were on the other side, and they weren't figuring out where to go because they'd just been cooped up in this cardboard box for so long. Okay, so now I just scooped them towards the entrance because I wanted them to figure it out. Once a few started to go, they all started to figure it out, and it was much easier at that point. But at first, they were just all hanging out in a clump, like, what do we do? Where do we go? I mean, they would have figured it out. I like using this method because the bees naturally find the entrance to their hive instead of you dumping them all inside the top of the box. I just think it's a little bit more natural. Because in the wild, they would go find the entrance to their hive. They wouldn't get dumped into the top of it and then closed up. Just a better angle here, so they weren't going, so I just started scooping them up and putting them right at the front of the hive. I had those scissors there to kind of hold down the cardboard so that they would have a little landing pad. This was fun. This is so fascinating to me, all these bees. This doesn't hurt them. It was really gentle.
9301.
So you'll be able to see in the next frame, I sped it up. You can see that the bees they just all started to go towards the hive box. The opening was really small down the bottom there, so they were filing in just, you know, one at a time. You can see the opening on my hive box next to it is a lot bigger, so it would have been easier for them just to walk right in. So now I sped it up, and you can just see it took a little bit of time, but they all like went that direction. You can see that group, that cluster is getting smaller. They're going inside the box. So during this time, I screwed the top down more securely on this thing because it was bowed. There's little gaps at the top. which they would have closed those up with propolis, but I wanted to close it up so they wouldn't try and enter there. So I just wanted to get the rest of them off this cardboard piece onto the little hive landing. And then, this is something new I tried. I mean, they weren't all going in, so I just kind of disturbed them off the front there. And I carefully just kind of held my hand, you can see, back and forth, and they all just started to walk in. So I didn't ever find the queen, so what I ended up doing is I went inside another one of my hives, and I pulled out a frame that had larvae in it, really young larvae, and I put it in there, which is I think why they stayed in there. So they can actually turn one of those into a queen, and they will if they don't have a queen. And if they do, they won't. So it's kind of a win-win. And then I just took the cardboard away, and we were all done. That was a lot of fun. Thanks for watching.